Are we starting
We're
now?
live.
I have no idea. Are they doing the whole... Okay, so we are live now. Are we live now? Okay, so there's no trailer playing. All right. Hello, everyone. So we ran into a little bit of technical issues earlier. By the way, my name is Jasmine Suraya, and I'm the moderator for today. And John Denver Trending is one of the top 5 films on Mubi, selected by MIFFest, the Malaysian International Film Festival. And today here with me, we have the director as well as the writer of the film itself, Arden Rod. And then we also have the main star of the show with every scene in it, who is John Denver himself, which is Jansen Magpusao, Jansen Magpusao. Yes. So for any of you who have watched the film, it is indeed a very touching film. And for those of you who have not watched, you guys can head on over to Movie to watch. So, Arden, maybe we can start off with the first question. It's a very simple concept. A boy stealing an iPad, and he is very adamant that he did not steal the iPad. And there was a whole, social media frenzy going on, people attacking him over social media, and it made him very sad. So it's a very simple premise. Why do you decide to do such a show with such an idea? The
Well,
main message.
it had to be simple. It was based on a true story, largely based on a true story about this mother who went home and found a very tragic and event that happened to her little boy, and that tragedy was brought about by 4 days of cyberbullying. Uh,
Wow.
Yeah, and upon hearing that news report on the radio one day in 2017, it had me decide to do a film. I wasn't even planning to come up with a film at that time. I was working on a TV network, but then that news report came to me, and then it prompted me to write the script for Christmas of 2017 until New Year of 2018, because I feel like someone had to do the film about this, about how social media can ruin someone else's life. Because, like I said, anything social media will also be personal to those people who are affected by anything you post on the internet.
Right. So someone came to you with a news report, and because I know you're a writer for ABS for 15 years, right?
Yeah.
And what that idea someone presented to you, was it meant to be done into a TV series, or just a news a highlight,
Yeah,
a highlight?
I was just Uber at that time. I was on my way to work. I just heard the news report,
Oh, you heard it.
Yeah, and then it never left my mind and it really prompted me to write the script.
Right.
So it was a matter of
And why did you choose to write it over? Because you work for ABS. Why do you want it to be a film and not a TV series for ABS, or like made it into a TV series? Is it more powerful as a film?
Yeah, I think because at the very beginning of this project, I already envisioned it to be a conversation starter. I really wanted it to be a film because because in film you can do talkbacks right after screenings. So I really wanted the film to be a tool for us to talk about responsible social media use. So when I made it into a film, I made sure that right after most of our screenings, we had talk box.
I see. So, um, Is this your first feature film script?
Yeah, technically, this was my first script as a screenplay. Yeah.
Right. And what is the difference? I mean, a little bit off topic from John Dever. I mean, since you're a writer yourself, what is the difference between a television series script versus a film script? Which one is easier to write? And yeah, and the impact, I think, for audiences and for you as well as a writer, the differences, the
Uh,
process.
Good question. Because working for television for quite some time, writing scripts, you had to please a lot of people. You had to make sure that your script is based not just on the story but also on the research, on the ratings, on the taste of your bosses. But this time, for the first time after 15 years, it was also my time to do something that I just had to rely on myself. I just had to rely on my intuition and what will work eventually. So yeah, it's totally new for me. I really enjoy the freedom.
Right. And when we were talking about earlier, right, about cyberbullying and about the obsession of Filipinos with social media, uh, is it the number one problem among kids these days in the Philippines, and that what triggered you to make this film? Is cyberbullying the number one thing that is facing our young generation?
Yeah, because these kids nowadays, we have free Facebook on our in our country. They're exposed more than compared to previous generations. They're now exposed to a lot of negativity on Facebook. I don't know in Malaysia, but in the Philippines, most especially in 2017, we always have this controversial issue this week, and then the next week we have another one, and then another one, and then another one. So there's just a series of scandals and issues in the internet, and nobody feels like realizing that these issues are, and the people involved in these issues are real people. So they, when we move on to the next issue, actually there are people who are left behind to still face the agony, the
The
pain
impact.
of some problems. Yeah. So yeah, it was my main intention to do something, a film about that. That everything posted on the internet will always be personal to somebody involved.
I see. So, Chanlo has a question to the director. Was it difficult to film John Denver trending?
Huh. Okay. It was really difficult for me to put John Denver because I had to direct non-professional actors, not because they didn't know how to act, but because I am familiar with them. They are my family. They are my relatives. So it's kind of it really made me laugh sometimes to direct them because I know that they are my what the principal is my aunt, and then I think she was just uh, she was just
She was a very good principal.
she was just hesitant to say no to me, so she had to do it. And then when I was directing her, I could not contain myself laughing, so I had to run away from the camera and and those stuff. But other than that, it was a breeze for me. I really had fun doing it.
Okay, and I think also this connects with Majun Tan's question. Was it hard for you to transition yourself as a writer into directing? And why did you decide to direct this show and not just write the show and get a
All right,
director?
I made June. Well, it was hard for me because as a writer, you have to be very particular on everything that you write. And so when I began directing the film, it frustrated me to if I could not do what I have written because of, well, budget constraints, time limit, and and other stuff. So yeah, but then, because on the other hand, since I was the one who wrote the script, I also was the perfect person to revise it if there are limitations during the shoot. So yeah, in a way it frustrated me, but on the other hand, it gave me the power to revise and do
To
something
call the
about
shots.
the problem that arise in the shoot. So why did I decide to do so? Maybe I was just, I don't know. Honestly, it wasn't really my plan to direct a film in 2017. But then it, the story, cheesy as it may sound, but the story really came to me and prompted me to do something about it. So yeah, maybe it
I
was
see.
really aftermath. In hindsight, it was the world telling me that it is about time for me to direct a film.
And why do you pick Johnson as your actor? Why Johnson? How do you guys
Yeah, because
cross
yeah,
paths?
I chose him all because he has these expressive eyes. Yeah. His eyes are really expressive. He wasn't even in the auditions. Somebody just sent me his picture, and then I just zoomed into his eyes, and then I saw how expressive it is.
And
And
how about, yeah. Oh no, go on,
and
go
it was,
on.
I think it was, yeah, it was really my dream to direct a first time actor, because as I noticed, most iconic coming of age films usually star a first timer, like 400 Blow, for example.
I see. And what about Johnson? Were you shocked? When the director said, "Please star in my film. Please be my actor."
Yes, I'm not really expecting him to choose me to be his main character.
And and did the film sort of inspire you to be an actor after this? Oh.
Um, yes, but I have a familiarity to be. I will
And
study first to be. I
yes,
want to
studying
be
is
an
very
engineer.
important. So I heard it's also your first time watching a film in a cinema, right? And it's
Yeah.
watching, yeah. So how was it like for you? Like, the whole process of acting, every scene, if I'm not mistaken, had you in it. What was it like for you as an actor? Was it nervous?
Yes, I am really nervous because I, I'm afraid that I can. And I can when we are shooting. Maybe what if I can remember some scripts?
Yeah. But
Like
what was the hardest for you though? Was it the script because there were not many words, or was it the fact that I know there were a lot of sad scenes, right? I think there was one scene that was quite sad when you saw your mom and then you were at the back and you covered your face
yes,
crying.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, what's the
That is
hardest scene for you, Johnson?
the most hardest part for me was when they asked me to cry and I could not cry.
Ah.
Yeah,
So how do you make him
yeah.
cry? How do you make
Actually,
your actors cry, Arden?
uh, I actually don't know, but in his case, we really found it hard to make him cry. Most especially that scene after he saw his mother being stoned. So
Mm.
actually, we did that we had to let him cover his face with clothes because actually he couldn't cry.
But
We had to,
somehow I feel that made it all the more powerful. Because
yeah, yeah,
because yeah, I feel that made it. But there were some scenes that you actually shed tears. I think there was
yeah.
one scene that you shed tear. I think I cannot remember what was it. Okay, So anyway, let's move on. We have a few more questions. Okay. Um, right. How long did it take for you to write the movie, Arjun? How long was it?
Yeah.
2 years? 1 year? Like, what,
No,
one year?
I heard the news report August 2017, and then I
Mm-hmm.
wrote the script. I wrote the script Christmas of 2017 until New Year of 2018. I know I was such a loser. I didn't have the holiday to spend, but I just spent the holiday writing. But it was, yeah, I did it in the first draft, and then I submitted it to the festival, and it got granted. So yeah, it was surprisingly for a first time experience. It was easy for me to maybe it was just it was maybe it wasn't me writing the script, but the story itself is writing its own script. You know,
Right.
uh,
So
yeah. So
which part of the whole film, because it's based on a real story, which part of the whole film, how many percentage were fiction and how many percentage was based on the real story?
a huge chunk of it was inspired by that news report, but then I had to get two more stories from other people. So, like it's a combination of three stories of teenagers combined into
Hmm,
one.
I
So
see.
all elements were real, but they are from three different teenagers.
And for Jansen, Meijun has a question. She mentioned that you did a very good job. How do you feel playing John Denver, as it is a very depressing role? Was it hard for you to get in and out of the character?
Yes. Um, I it was hard for me, but we had
Workshops.
workshops for 4 days. So and I have a great director. It's not that hard.
Because you were next to him, that's why.
Right.
um, so,
Yeah. In
you
terms of
mentioned, right.
his practice, when it comes to his performance, well, because this is the first time for him to act. Uh, we had a workshop for 4 days, but we talked about his classmate who at 14 years old was sent by his parents to a mental institution because of depression. So imagine a 14-year-old boy uh, going inside a mental institution, and it was his classmate. So every time we're shooting the film, we had to talk about that boy and how he would feel. So Jensen would imagine the experiences of that boy. So it helped him a lot to perform the role of John Denver because of his classmate.
I know you wrote the script. Sorry, it's a bit off topic. I know you wrote the script in a short span of time, but the script, based on a very simple idea, managed to, unravel a lot of the social problems and also depict a very real community like culture of the Filipino culture. It talks about wealth. Why does a poor boy need to steal an iPad or something? Why must it always be pointed to a poor person? And then it talks about family as well. The structure of the family, like the father goes abroad to work, and then you have a single mother, and then you also have cyberbullying, and you also have the issue of the policeman who appears to try and do the work, something like that, tries and be the hero of the whole situation. And then you also have the mayor giving out money to just solve the situation. There's so many layers of such social structure in it, just based on that simple idea. How was it hard for you to write that, but to make it so smooth, and not trying to make it
Yeah.
too congested, too many topics congested, but it was done beautifully. Was it hard for you to do that? Was that the hardest part of the writing process?
All right. I did a lot of research before writing this. Actually, I there was this one issue on Facebook when I was writing the script, and then I just printed the comment section of that post, and then I studied how
Mhm.
the information were shared to everyone and how everyone would react, and it gave me an idea that apparently cyberbullying is not more than just cyberbullying. It's actually a reflection of our social institutions. So when I was writing the script, I had to make sure that this is not just about cyberbullying. It is also a critique of our social institutions. We have the religion, we have the police, we have the education sector, we have the family as an institution, we have the government. And it feels like everyone around these kids are not really prepared in how to deal with issues like this brought about by the internet. So yeah, the story had to progress into something like that because yeah, that's why I really wanted for everyone for the film to start a conversation because it is about time for our social institutions to come up with proper and just guidelines on dealing with issues like this.
I see. Okay. So Chanlo has a question. Were there any on-set problems filming John Denver trending, and how did you deal with it?
Okay. First of all, the budget will always was a problem at first because I had to deal with a lot of people. I had a cast of hundreds, like including the
Wow.
kids that became part of the school, and then I didn't have enough money for them. One producer that I know originally offered a bigger amount of funds for this one, but then I had to. That meant that I had to get more famous actors. I had to shoot it somewhere else. But then,
Hmm.
well, I really envisioned this film to be, since this is my first time, I really envisioned it to be done in our hometown, featuring non-professional actors. So I had to sacrifice that huge amount of money and proceed with my original intention. But then, of course, with that decision, several problems like the limited budget arise. So yeah, we fixed it by letting the people know that we had just barely enough money, and so we asked help from a lot of people, like in the school in particular in the film. They agreed with us to offer the location and the students for free, and in exchange after the film is done, we just did 4 screenings of the film, and then all the proceeds of that screenings went to them. So I did not shell out a lot of money to pay them, but on the other hand, after the film, we had just given them enough just to say thank you for what they did for
Right.
us.
I see, I see. And it's very successful. And from Denise Loca, how different were what you originally envisioned the film being like and how it eventually turned out?
Hmm. Interesting question because since it was my first time to do a film, I was really excited to do a lot of things, new stuff in it. Originally, I planned to do the film in 16:9 aspect ratio, and then eventually, as the film proceeds, it goes smaller and smaller. That was the original expectation of the screen of a cell phone. But then during editing, I find it very jarring. It catches too much attention away from the story. So I had to uh, throw that idea away. And what else? I think other than that, I think that's it. Like I said earlier, I prepared. I shot the film for 10 days, but I prepared it for 2 months. So I made sure that I prepared everything. So the moment we did the shoot for 10 days, we were already really prepared. We followed what I have planned for 2 months.
So, how long was the rehearsal like for the actors? Because you had about 100 cast. Do you have to have a prior rehearsal before production?
We rehearsed it for 4 days, I think. Yeah, 4 days.
Yeah,
But
4 days.
then
Yeah.
during production, we had a few hours of rehearsal before shooting. What we did was we just uh, told them the story and then let them perform, and then eventually the camera would adjust to their movement. So it was
I see.
we planned everything, but we try to remain organic during the shoot when we allow them
Mhm.
to just and then we let we just let the camera follow them.
And what was the most difficult scene for you?
For me, I think well obviously the ending. It was really hard for me to shoot the ending, and even during the editing of the film, it was a push and pull of emotion. If should I let the audience see the that ending? Well, I was tempted to do a happier ending for the film, but then I realized that well, this story really happened in real life, and I wouldn't do justice to that reality, to that news report, if I give my
A
audience
happy ending.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that also answers Ho Hak Dung's question. Was
Hello.
the ending of the film what you envisioned from the beginning? Yeah, I think it sort of answered that. Um, and also, you had only one professional actor acting in the whole film, right?
I
Uh,
had one professional actor, Meryl Soriano, but the other two have had experience acting on television and some
mhm.
film. Other than that, the rest of the cast are then professionals.
How did you manage to get Meryl to act in this film, and why did you? Because you said you were very adamant about getting first time actors. Why do you want to mix the two? I mean, yeah. Why do you approach Meryl for
You know,
this?
because the role of the mother is very strong, and it really required a very professional actor to perform it because it's quite complicated. And I really like the mother to have a strong presence, which I found it hard to look for among new non-professional actors. So last minute we had to get a Meryl Soriano, and luckily she agreed to join our production, all because not just because she really liked the script, but because she is also a mother and her son is actually bullied in school. So she related to the story, and she felt like she had to do it not just for herself as an actor, but for her son.
Right, I see. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So let's go through the next question. We noticed that the film is quite silent and does not have much dialogue in most of the parts. What do you want to express through this?
Yeah, because it goes with my original intention of showing the public that everything social on social media is actually very personal to a lot of to the people involved. So I had to cherish those quiet moments in John Denver's life just for the audience to see how this event affects the kid. So it's somehow a look on his inner emotions, and also to let the people know the psychological impact of such issue to this little boy. So yeah, I really value those moments when you don't have to understand a lot of things, but you just have to focus on his eyes, on his face, just to see him.
I see. That's because I thought, yeah, it was very, because you're following the journey of the guy, of the little boy, and I see that you play a lot of back camera work, right? Of
Yeah.
him walking and everything. Is there a certain like message to that? Like, oh, were there any references that you watch prior to making this film?
Well, one of the inspirations in the execution of the film was I treated it as a monster film with the social media as the monster. So eventually,
Yeah.
I had to do a lot of John Denver walking alone and the camera just following him. So so it would feel like somebody's following him until eventually when things get worse, the camera attacks him in the end
Right.
when he's already
Okay.
running. Yeah, you know.
Cool, 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 cool. So another one, let me see. You okay? Why was it called John Denver again? Because it was it's a
Yeah.
singer. Because when you Google it, it's like, oh, it's actually a singer. I'm not very familiar, but
Yeah.
yeah. Why is it
Uh,
John Denver?
we've been asked that several times, but not it's nothing really related to the story. But in
The
our
Philip.
province, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's also true in Malaysia, but in our country, in our province particularly, most of the kids are named after famous singers, famous actors, famous brand. So yeah, it was just the usual name of a boy living in the province. So it's basically just that.
I see. Well, in Malaysia, in from where I come from, they do have names for kids that are quite like Cleopatra and stuff like that. So it's very, very similar as well. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let me see. Right. Uh, you also featured shamanistic practices in the film. Why is that important for you to showcase in the film?
Yeah, because when I decided to do the film in our hometown, I had to make sure that our hometown is reflected in the film. Well, our hometown in Padanantique, it's always infamous for having witches. So every time I meet new people in Manila and then I tell them that I'm from Antique, and then they would always ask me, is it true that do you have witches in your hometown? So yeah, our
Oh,
place has this reputation. And when I was doing the script for the film, I realized that the witch hunting that usually happens in a small town because of some reputation is actually the same thing that happens in social media right now. Because so it's I made sure that it was my decision to make it a parallel with what's the boys going on. So I had to explore and project the culture of my hometown in the screen in accordance with the story of John Denver.
oh, okay. So, and for Jansen, did you feel any pressure when you were chosen to play the role of John Denver?
Yun.
Drama dito, boy.
We
Is
actually
it?
know
Sorry?
we actually know who is asking the question. But Juan Carlo.
Yo.
But
Oh,
okay, but you have to answer this question.
yeah.
Not really. The only pressure that I asked was um Miss Mel had to
They
uh, interact with her
yeah
because I'm shy.
he said like the only pressure that he felt was when he was already acting with Mariel, who's Soriano is an expert in acting, so it had pressure on him.
So okay, but then for Jansen, like because you're acting in a high school, or was it middle school, something like that. Is the whole thing very familiar to you? Like wearing the uniform and then fighting with the kids, especially is do you feel like you're playing another person, or do you feel like you're playing part of yourself?
Yes. I feel like I'm playing an I'm a good student.
You feel like you're playing, sorry?
Ulitin mo daw.
I feel like I'm playing another person because
Because you're a
I'm
nice boy.
I'm a good student.
Right. But the whole bullying thing. I mean, as a student yourself, is it
Hmm.
familiar to you? Like, does it happen in your school as well?
Yes.
People go on Facebook.
Yes. I
Oh, I
think
see.
it happens in a lot of schools, especially high
Right.
school.
Especially high school, right? Yeah. I face that too. I mean, not now, but like last time, not with social media, but with school walls and everything. They would write names. But okay, so cool. Let me see. We have a few questions. Right. Um, so the film was premiered in Busan Film Festival. It has won 6 awards at the 15th Cinemalaya Philippine Independent Film Festival. You won Best Actor and as well as Best Film. Um, do you think the success of your film has paved the way for organizations to give bigger grants to
Yeah,
independent
I think
filmmakers?
now more than ever, I think it's about time for these big production companies to take a look at not just independent, small-time independent filmmakers, but also filmmakers from the region, because in Manila is very congested, and now that the pandemic is here, it's about time for it production companies to decongest, and so. We did this film in a small town in our province, and we made it. I'd like to think that we made it well, and we made it uh, uh, acceptable and liked by everybody. So I think it sends John Denver sends a message that actually we can do films in the regions, and we can make it equally good as in films done in Manila.
Right, okay. And cool. So basically, yeah, I would say that, like, I mean, for that, how much was the budget? Was it 1 million pesos?
The grant was 1 million pesos, but we had to get. Hello, my producer is here. she's watching this show. We had to get another 1.5, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, if I can remember. Yeah, from
okay,
them.
right. So, and talking about budget now, right? I think we talked about that before there was a technical error about how, people who want to make films, like, does it ever get tired for filmmakers to tell crews, oh, I have no budget for my film? But the question is, how do filmmakers create a balance to make a living in the Philippines?
Well, the trick is to work in the TV networks, and then while you're doing it, you do independent films. We didn't have a choice, but we don't have a choice, but to have to find that balance. We have to do things for a living, but at the same time, we have to do art on the side, because sadly, we are not there yet that we can make money out of our art. So we had to do a lot of other things. So yeah, but when I'm just optimistic that someday soon we can filmmakers in the Philippines and also in Malaysia and the rest of the world can have a living with just merely doing their art.
And are there enough organizations in the Philippines to support up and coming filmmakers? Or do you think there
Uh,
should be many more
the government
organizations?
MIFFest has several organizations, but I think the fund is still not enough to sustain, most especially first time films, debut films of first time filmmakers. Uh, Luckily, we really have a very aggressive and very kind industry, because you can always feel that support whenever you come up with your first film, as compared, I think, to other countries, which I know from a lot of my friends from like other countries in Southeast Asia. They always find it hard to rent camera, to look for the cinematographers, but in the Philippines, sometimes we get things for free. uh, we get people for a very reduced professional fee. And in that way, we are somehow lucky.
Right. Okay. And so, what about the Filipino acceptance of your film? How did they accept it? Because I know it was not in Tagalog, right? It was in a different language.
Yeah. Uh,
Yes. How
well,
did they
so
accept that?
personally, I was really scared at first that the film is not in Tagalog. Uh, when we show this in Cinemalaya, but surprisingly, the film was the number one film in terms of box office results in Cinemalaya. So I guess more than the language, the right now the audience is continuously growing. That they didn't care about the language; they care more about the story and its relevance to their lives. So it's actually an
Mm-hmm.
interesting strategy for production companies as well, to take a look uh, at the stories that comes from the region, that come from the region.
Mm-hmm.
So because for me, the audience now doesn't care if it's in another language; it just cares about how good the story is.
And speaking of story, right? I think I don't really watch many Filipino films. I think some of the ones I watched were from Brillante Mendoza, and then I watched Cleaners the other day, and I realized that a lot of the films had almost like the theme of as well showing the social structure of the Filipino community, the class status, showing like I think the poorer side of Filipinos. I think. Do is this a theme that a lot of people talk about still, and do Filipinos, I mean, do the audiences ever feel like, can we talk about something different, or is it a
Mm.
theme that is still very much attractive or engaging to the audience?
Well,
Social status and yeah.
well, I'm only speaking as an independent filmmaker. For me, in my opinion, and I think I can also speak in behalf of other filmmakers, that since the Philippines is still a developing country, we cannot just consider our art as merely art. It will always be part of nation building. Film will always be the best vehicle for me to showcase and project the reality, because yeah, like I said, we don't have the luxury of just performing or doing our art just for art's sake. But film for me has the relevance, will always have the relevance in everyone's lives.
I see. Okay, cool, cool. And let me see, right. Um, why do you decide to feature your film at the fourth Malaysian International Film Festival, MIFFest? And are you planning to feature your film on movie for OTT screening after the festival's collaboration?
If they will offer us, then I will say yes.
And do you ever want to put it on Netflix or other OTT
We're
platforms?
Yeah, we're currently screening in a local platform in the Philippines, but other than that, we are open for distribution outside the Philippines. So yeah, and then why MIFFest? I think it is. I think I'm just interested to get the reaction from people of Malaysia, because I feel like the story of John Denver is not just relevant to the Philippines; it is also relevant to people across Asia and all over the world. So yeah, it was basically because of that.
I see. Okay. And are you currently working on or planning for any film project? If you could share something with us, maybe something in your hometown that that you wanted to talk about too in your
All right.
next.
I am currently exploring some topics, but I just don't have anything particular in mind. I'm just waiting for another story to arrive, to come to me and tell me that it's about time for you to do a film.
I see. And are you still with with ABS now, or have you
Uh,
decided? Oh, I'm going to be a film director.
yeah, sadly, I'm not with EBS right now because in the middle of the pandemic, the government chose to close the company.
Oh, I see. Okay, I wasn't
It
aware of
wasn't
that.
granted it wasn't granted the franchise anymore. So a lot of people really from the industry have no jobs right now. Sadly, I'm one of them, but we're barely we're still surviving. We're Filipinos. We're strong.
That's true. And cool. Anyway, before we end the session, thank you so much, by the way, for sharing, your thoughts on the film and your experiences making the film. Thank you, Jansen, for also joining us. Very, very good performance, I must say. um, maybe from Jansen, before we end this session, do you have any words that you would like to share?
Um, for my for who's watching this live right now, thank you for listening.
And then
Um,
he just like to say hi to his friends online.
yes. Hello, Joe friends and Juan.
We have a
Thank
lot
you
of
for
supporters here.
thank you for your questions.
And for you, Arden, do you have any words or message that you would like to say?
First of all, I'd like to thank MIFFest and Movie for screening our film. To all the Malaysians who expressed their love for the films online, we can read all your tweets and all your comments in on Litterbox. I actually have a filmmaker friend from Malaysia. Hi, Min. Is actually watching right now. Thank you for loving our film, and I hope that with this film, we started a conversation on responsible social media use because, like I said, it's about time for us to talk about it.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, these people are so mean, you know. And actually, last question: who stole the iPad?
I thought we could just end this conversation without somebody because
Oh,
everybody's everybody has been asking us about the iPad. But to tell you honestly, we also don't know.
you, yeah,
We
yeah.
also don't know, but just to prove a point,
But
it came.
Johnson, but John Denver was really innocent. He's really
Yeah,
innocent, or was it?
yeah, it's really innocent. Somebody
Okay.
actually we shot a scene that revealed who really stole the iPad, but during editing, it made me realize that what's the use of truth, telling the truth at
When the
this point?
truth was already there,
And
when people already
exactly,
perceive the truth. Yeah. Okay.
so it's
Cool,
immaterial.
cool. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
It's really
much.
an honor and pleasure to have this discussion today.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye, Arden. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Johnson.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
At itaas ang kanang kamay at sabay-sabay nating bigkasin ang panatang makabayan.
Ang aking bata may pilas-pilas tapos ginahilana. Ayun si John Denver. Ay, si Eden naman ng
Sino naman kasing gusto makilala sa ganitong paraan, Mayo? Yung anak ko ang pinagpipiestahan sa Facebook.
Hoy, Samolde, parakin mo tong video. hindi na natin makontrol at paminsaran ng iba. Layas kayo, layas. Layas kayo, layas tayo ang pinagtabuyan, layas.
Ano, hay? Naghanap na lang kayo ng mahirap na masisisi? Mahirap lang ba ang pwede magnakaw ng iPad?
Come let us all, we shall join our hearts as one. Uniting love is the only way to break the barriers. Come let us all, we shall merge our souls for tomorrow. We will celebrate the fruits of seeds that we planted yesterday. For all